Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the G&G debate. I'm Gary,
Galina here.
and so Galina, how has your week been?
Yeah, it was quite alright, productive. Read some books, watch some podcasts. All good, thank you. Keeping positive. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Similar. I mean, obviously now being in lockdown and things, it gives you time to read books, to trying social distancing, practice that, but also I can still walk in countryside here in Malta and things like that. So it's not too bad. The weather next week's going to be pretty good, but unfortunately can't go out so much. But I'm going to try and get as much sun as I possibly can. Um,
Amazing.
so yeah. So should we get down to today's debate?
Yeah, let's go to our topic.
Yeah. So today's debate we've got pain and the price of freedom. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds amazing. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So, should we look at first the positives or the pros associated with this topic?
Yeah, I mean the main thing that like we people can take the actual pain in a negative way and maybe
Hmm.
in not like positive but something to take from it. I mean, well, you can say something positive. And yeah, let's debate the negative and positive side of it.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, what we're talking about is someone who's gone through, let's say, particular traumas in their life and things like that. Let's talk about
Let's
some.
mention it's not about diseases or something else. It's just
No, no.
pain and stuff.
Absolutely. So someone's gone through particularly traumas or anything in their life. What is best for them to do? It's kind of like so. Let's look at the positives of someone who, let's say, ignores those pains, which some people do. They say, "Hey, let's say someone just breaks up with their girlfriend or boyfriend, then." The typical advice, really, the first piece of advice that most people give to that person is, "Oh, don't worry, there's plenty of fish in the sea." That we get that all the time from our friends and family, and it really, I mean, most of us now have been through situations where we've been heartbroken by someone. So we've been in a situation, and in that moment, that piece of advice doesn't help that person in any way. Um, Although we mean well when we're telling it, we're trying to help that person, but really it doesn't help that person, and it's kind of like getting that person just to ignore their feelings, right, and just say, hey, carry on like normal. What do you think about this?
Yeah, first of all, I think pain is our body language to try to bring on the surface actually what are we struggling with. I mean, in any situation, I mean, maybe as you said, a breakdown or other stressful situation in our life, and we need to listen to the reaction of our body and to our body language, how this pain speaks to us and what does it want to tell us. It's like
Right.
a kind of shouting to us a message, in my opinion. Whether it is, I don't know, in a period of life when you're a bit stressed, or maybe just think maybe you are not doing right things in that period, maybe you don't resonate with what you do or with people you have around. And
Right.
yeah, it's kind of a message to you. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, no, for sure. I certainly think that your body is talking to you, and in a sense your higher self is actually communicating with you. But like I say, in 9 times out of 10 we tend to ignore that, don't we? But yeah, looking at, let's say, the positives of that is that, yeah, you can carry on as normal. you can, continue with your life, go to work again, depending on the trauma. Let's say, yeah, of course, we've mentioned relationship breakouts, but of course, we know there's so many different types of traumas that we could have in our lives, and not just present traumas, but past traumas too. But saying that, yeah, it's the positives there. Is that yeah, you can carry on. And how do we carry on normally? Do you think we tend to find distractions in our lives in order to ignore that pain, that inner pain?
Yeah, this is the thing that different people, they are dealing with this pain in different ways. They do what they think is best working for them. Well, some people go into drinking, maybe. Some people, okay, just forget themselves in some series, or I don't know, whatever. It can be some negative or positive stuff as well. But yeah, it's about how each person deal with this pain.
Yeah, for sure. And those definitely, you've just mentioned there that, yeah, someone might, I don't know, drink and things like that. Then those definitely would be negative aspects of ignoring our pain, right? That um, I know in myself that, of course, I've gone through periods where, yeah, I've used distractions. I mean, we all do it at some point in our life. Um, Now, yeah, we tend to. I think that's a subconscious thing as well. It's what we're conditioned to think. I know myself as a man, for example, okay, which is kind of, let's say, for example, you're watching films. I've been watching films. Well, I've stopped watching films altogether about 10 years ago, to be honest with you. And the only thing I've watched in the last 10 years has been television series. But what are films in a long time? But anyway, I'm going off topic here. But we've watched films all our lives, and in most films, what they condition, a bit like from the 40s, 50s, 60s, they show, or even longer, they show people smoking. Okay, now when you grow up in that environment, watching that on television, you grow up thinking, yeah, that it's okay to smoke, and more than likely, that person will grow up and probably smoke, right? And regards to, let's say, drinking alcohol, for example, now, if you watch a film and there's a relationship breakup, the man will be in a bar drinking. That's the stereotypical thing that you see a man do. Okay. And you grow up with that. You grow up with that thinking. So when men do grow up and they go through a breakup, then they're conditioned almost to think, oh, I need to go to the pub because that's what we do. But it's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's what we're kind of conditioned to think, that that's what men do, and men don't cry and all of these things. And we grow up with that stigma, essentially.
Yeah, and sometimes when we went through some situations in our life, I mean, some painful situations or bad experience, what we do in the future, we kind of just try to avoid that kind of experiences. For example, well, some people after breakup, they say, okay, for a long time, I will not go into a new relationship because it hurts, or someone failed maybe interview, they say no, I'm gonna stay where I am, I'm not gonna go to any interviews anymore. Because in other situations, I mean, people, instead of dealing with this pain and trying to learn something from it and trying to deal better with it, what they do is just they are avoiding that kind of pain, which I think is very wrong.
Oh, absolutely. So, then, in conclusion, what do you think is best for someone to do when they've gone through any sort of traumatic experience? What do you think they can do? I mean, it's quite difficult. Like, let's say, maybe you can't just tell someone who's depressed, "Oh, just be positive." You can't always just be positive, right?
I think the best what well we are not the best advisor because everyone have their I don't know past experiences and you cannot teach someone how to behave unless they don't teach on their own. But what you can do, you can learn from every situation in our life. We don't need to actually take everything as negative. From every situation, we need to learn something. Even if it was a stressful situation or something which bring us pain, we need to ask ourselves why it didn't feel good, why it didn't feel right. Maybe it was not for me, or maybe it was a challenge to change something in my life. Maybe it's for betterment, actually.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Maybe you need to start learning how to react to different situations. Maybe ask yourself, maybe I'm so weak. Why I'm always like getting hard like that? Or I mean, you can ask yourself why I'm reacting like that every time. Why I'm so weak? Maybe I need to work on some parts of myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of just thinking here now. I'm just thinking as well, where does that come from? Where we go through life and we're unable to deal with any trauma that comes in our way. I'm not just necessarily talking about relationships. Obviously, we can talk about anything. Like it could be losing your job, anything that makes you feel, ugh, you know. But but I guess that comes from as well. I was just thinking, it comes from our childhood essentially, because it depends on your childhood. Everyone's been parented in a different way. But generally, and I want to stress that I'm speaking very general here, but I know parenting has improved so much in so many different ways in today's world. I think there's a lot of good education, but generally, if you go in the past, let's say it was children were kind of, there's that old saying that children should be seen and not heard. And then there's the old saying of, then there's the idea of when a child cries, we kind of say, oh, stop crying, it's okay. We kind of almost, as parents, I'm not talking about us or anything, I'm just saying in general, people say, oh, no, it's okay, and almost want to stop the child crying straight away. It's almost like we don't want the child to deal with whatever the issue is. And it's kind of like we're teaching them from a young age just to say, hey, carry on, forget about it, don't worry, and you kind of grow up with this idea. And I think later in life, where that's in our subconscious, and it's something that when we go through traumas, we just think, oh, everything will be okay. It's all right. Don't ignore it. And we can't. And there's always in the back of our mind, we know there's something wrong, and it kind of keeps and just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we age, unless we deal with it, unless we actually. I mean, I'm very part of the spiritual community, but and generally in the spiritual community, most people think that everyone has to be positive all the time.
Yeah, I think every emotion it has. I mean, it serves us in any way, because this is nature, and nature is perfect by how it is, and every emotion it has a reason to exist in our life. Even that pain, it has a reason to be for us, to teach us something, to show us something, to challenge us, to move us. Yeah, I mean, we can take it. Well, you don't take like, wow, pain is amazing. Well, no, but you can always see it in another light. Don't just be afraid of pain or avoid pain or just be scared of pain and live in this fear, because you lock yourself in a kind of cage of fear, like just ignoring and avoiding something just because I don't want to get hurt or I don't want to experience this pain again. I mean, and you are not free, but when you change your approach to this and you learn how to deal with this, you are kind of more free to all the life experiences, right?
Perfectly said. You just said it. You've just said that. Yeah, it's absolutely. I totally agree that we by not ignoring our inner pain and actually working with it and learning from those pains, you're right. It frees us. If not, we're just in that prison all the time, and it's we've trapped that inner emotion, and it just doesn't do us good. And if we trap it, if we ignore it, that that leads to things like addictions in different ways. It could be either drugs or shopping. Could be anything to make us, like we were talking about in episode one, anything to make us feel more fulfilled. And things like that. It does have a snowball effect in this. So it's very important to, like you say, to learn from our inner pain. Um, but yeah, I definitely like in the spiritual community, we call this, shadow work as well. You need to really go in yourself and to heal yourself inside and become consciously aware of who you are, because that's how you're going to find who you are. Because if you keep
Yeah,
ignoring
exactly.
that inner
It's
voice,
like to others as well. Like pain is a kind of tool which help us to know ourselves better, to know what is right for us, what feels right for us, and what
yeah,
doesn't. If you would not have this pain, I mean, we would be okay with everything, but you cannot be okay with everything, right? So yeah, you
exactly.
need to listen to yourself and to your inner voice and to your body languages. What's right for you and what doesn't feel right for you, and make some conclusions from it.
Absolutely, it's so beneficial, like you just said. Knowing who you are, being consciously aware of yourself, can play a huge role in for the rest of your life and your continuous happiness, and you will be legitimately more positive this way, not being forcefully positive, covering your inner emotions, your pains. But once you heal those pains inside, you will become more positive in your life, and you will grow, and you will be able to give that to others. But yeah, well, I don't know if you've got anything else to add here, Galina, on this topic.
Yeah, just yeah, take everything uh, in a positive light. Take everything as a lesson, whatever it is, and love life as it is. Love all the emotions. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Whoever joined in live, thank you for joining us. And yeah, whoever catches up on the replay, just comment below any of your opinions about today's topic, whether you agree or disagree with us. We would be really interested about what you have to say, because that's how we all learn and grow, by learning about different people's opinions. Okay. But anyway, you can catch me at Gary J. Baronet on Facebook, Instagram, and of
Galina
course here
Matveeva.
on YouTube. And Galina?
Yeah, catch me on Galina Matveeva as well. And yeah, have a nice evening. Thank you for watching and hope you took some value.
Brilliant. Thank you for watching, guys, and be well.